Hello and welcome to the review for the Safari Ltd Dimorphodon. If you would like to purchase this model or indeed any of Safari's products, you can do so at safariltd.com or at amazon.com/safariltd, and you can use discount code BIONIC to get 15% off of any order. So go do that. Save money. Be a smart human. Anyhow, that's the end of the shameless promotion. So this is a little bit of an obscure pick from the overall Prehistoric World catalog from Safari. I haven't really seen all that many people talk about this figure or review it, so I'm excited to actually highlight it properly on the channel here. First of all, I just want to highlight a few of the nice sort of details going on with the sculpt of the figure. The sculpting is very nice overall. The first thing that really stands out to me is just this subtle texture on the wing membranes. A lot of pterosaur figures just leave the wing membranes completely smooth, and that's fine, but I like that they've added just this sort of subtle texture of these very thin little lines going down the actual membrane of the wing. Just adds a subtle lifelike quality and just a little bit of interest to that area of the body. And speaking of the body, the actual torso and the limbs and the core body areas of the animal have been reconstructed completely covered in pycnofibers, which is pretty fantastic, honestly. This figure came out back in 2013, I believe, and I wasn't actually sure if it had pycnofibers on its body or not. I couldn't really remember, but sure enough it does. It has them over basically the entirety of the body aside from just the head and the wing membrane, so that's fantastic, very accurate, up-to-date inclusion on the reconstruction there that I really appreciate. Speaking of the head, like I said, this is actually one area that doesn't have any pycnofibers on it. Instead, it has this really nice kind of subtle scalation to it, these really small sort of gnarled, bumpy-looking scales. I actually really like the way that looks. You can also see the way the teeth have been sculpted. This is a great example of a really well-done closed-mouth carnivore figure. A lot of times carnivore figures with closed mouths look a little odd because you're working with, you know, having the teeth laid right down on sort of the lips around the mouth, and it can just be an awkward, somewhat tricky thing to sculpt and paint well, but it's been executed really well on this figure, actually. You can see some small little smudges of white paint. You know, the teeth aren't exactly perfect, but they're way better than good enough. You know, they're plenty well done for purposes of this model, and I just really like the way that looks. I like it's interesting because normally with animals with really distinct or interesting dentition, I generally have a preference towards seeing the mouth be open on a model of an animal like that. But for this one, I actually think having the mouth closed is a neat way to highlight the interlocking teeth of Dimorphodon, perhaps in a bit less of an obvious way, as opposed to having it wide open and baring its teeth more aggressively. So it still highlights the unique dentition of the actual genus, but just kind of a unique take on it. You can see the eye is this bright yellow color, and there is a slight bit of a smudge of yellow paint on the bottom of this eye, but not too big of a deal. Overall, the paint is actually one of my favorite parts of this model, specifically just the overall color choices. You can see it has this very warm kind of tannish orange color on most of the body, then this really, really nice kind of bright orangish red on the head, kind of a blood orange color, and then the wings actually look really fantastic in my opinion. I really like black and red sort of blending into each other. It's just a cool sort of contrast of different colors and brightnesses, and that's exactly what this model has going on. As you can see, the wing membranes have sort of these areas of black, sort of cloudy and murky looking, and then smoothly sort of fading over into this dark blood red, and just looks really attractive. As far as accuracy is concerned, I do have a few minor complaints, and they're all to do with the head. I complimented that the dentition has been highlighted well and in a unique, cool way, but the dentition itself, the actual structure of the teeth and the way that they're sort of oriented and laid out on the jaw, is not 100% in line with the actual Dimorphodon skulls that I looked up during my research for this video. It seems to me that there's the spacing on these larger interlocking teeth is just a bit too wide. They should be more clustered together at the front of the jaw, and then there should be a lot more of these smaller teeth kind of going along here. You can see there's only about 4 of those smaller sized teeth, and the skull doesn't really look like that as far as I can tell. I tried to find some reconstructions with dentition more similar to this model, but I couldn't really find any. And then there's also some minor issues I have with the shaping of the jawline. Dimorphodon actually has a fairly distinct, almost Dilophosaur or Cryolophosaurus-like notch near the premaxilla of the jaw, and you can kind of see that there's a little bit of that going on here. The jawline isn't perfectly straight. You can see that it kind of juts in and swoops down a little, but it's really subtle, and I really feel like that notch should be just a little bit more visible. And then the other thing, the big issue that probably a lot more people are aware of, is just that the head is like maybe a fourth the size it should be. And in all fairness, back in 2013, this was a perfectly acceptable reconstruction. It's just that newer reconstructions have shown that the head of this animal was actually kind of comically huge. So that's a little bit of outdatedness going on here, but not too big of a deal. So anyhow, before we end out the review, I'd like to bring in a few size comparisons. As usual, we have the Safari Ltd Eutyrannus, and for this video, I also want to bring in my only other Safari pterosaurs, besides the old Carnegie Collection Pteranodon, which isn't really worth bringing over because it's not the prettiest looking thing in the world. So the figures I did bring over are, first of all, the Tapejara, which is really more of a Tupandactylus as it turns out, and oh my god, it is so dusty. I didn't even notice until I got it under the light. That is disgusting, I apologize. And we also have the Quetzalcoatlus. So there you go. There's the Safari Pterosaur gang currently. I still need to hang this one up because I have these two hanging from the ceiling above the shelves and it looks really nice. And right now the Dimorphodon is just like sitting on the backs of other figures. So in conclusion, I'm giving this figure an 8.5 out of 10. I think the design is really attractive and appealing. It's got some cool, vivid colors. And yeah, if you're looking for just another good flying pterosaur from Safari, then this is a great option. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.